You're listening to the weekly Parsha Podcast with Ari Goldwag, recorded with Hashem's never-ending assistance in our Mikeitz, 5781, 2020. This week's Parsha is Parshas Mikeitz, and in our Parsha we have the beginning of the realization of Yosef HaTzadik's dreams. He had a dream when he was 17 years old that he was to be a leader for his brothers. He was to be the king. And indeed, at the beginning of our Parsha, Yosef HaTzadik is able to interpret the dreams of Paro, of Pharaoh, to explain that there are going to be 7 good years, followed by 7 bad years. And indeed, he's appointed second in command to Paro. He is to be a great king, a great leader over the Egyptian people, over the Jewish people eventually. And the 7 years indeed occur as he explained it, 7 good years followed by a famine. And the pasuk tells us that Yakov Avinu, Jacob, 22 years he hasn't seen his son. He doesn't know that Yosef HaTzadik is alive still. He certainly doesn't know that he became the leader over Egypt. And as the psukim, as the story unfolds, so we'll see in next week's parsha, the brothers, it's revealed to them that Yosef is the one who is this strange leader over the Egyptians, who's giving them the food, who's selling them the food, accusing them of being spies, etc. And the information is sent back to Yaakov Avinu that his son Yosef is still alive. He doesn't believe it at first, but eventually he comes down to Egypt to meet again with his son. And the story is remarkable and interesting, perhaps one of the most suspenseful stories of the Torah. And there's a point here in the midrash that I'd like to share with you I never saw before. Very interesting point, very deep idea perhaps that we can take out of it. I'd like to share with you also, even though Chanukah is ending today, and it could be that by the time you're listening to this, Chanukah is over, but I'd like to share with you an insight on a feeling that I had over Chanukah, which I believe is connected to the story. Pasuk says, "Vayar Yakov ki shever b'Mitzrayim." Torah tells us that the brothers are sent down to Egypt. 10 out of the 11 brothers that still remained after Yosef was sold. Binyamin is kept in Canaan with Yakov Avinu, with Jacob. They're sent down, and why? Why are they sent down? Yaakov sees that there's food in Egypt, and so he sends them down because there's a famine throughout the land of Canaan, in the land of Egypt. So the midrash points out to us, "Vayar Yakov ki shever b'Mitzrayim," an unusual language. When it refers to the fact that Yaakov sees that there's food in Egypt, it doesn't refer to it as ochel, food, the normal word used for food, but rather as shever. The word shever is an unusual reference to food. And the word shever can also mean a few different things. The word shever can mean to break. The word shever starts with the letter shin. The midrash is going to teach us an amazing thing, that the word shin can also be read with a dot on the left side instead of on the right side. And in that case, it takes on a completely different meaning. Vayar Yaakov ki shever b'Mitzrayim. Midrash quotes a pasuk, which actually is part of a song on a video I just released. Ashrei shekel Yaakov b'Izroi, sever el Hashem Yakov. Praiseworthy is the one who the God of Jacob is helping him. Sivroi, which is similar to the word shivroi, which means food. Here, Sivroi el Hashem Yakov, his hope. The word sivroi means that the hope of the person, the bitachon, the faith of the person, is in Hashem, his God. Vayar Yaakov ki shever b'Mitzrayim. Yaakov saw that there was shever in Mitzrayim. It doesn't just mean food, but it also means that there was hope in Egypt. An amazing thing. Yaakov saw that there was hope. They had a famine. They didn't have any food. Simple pshat. There's hope there. There's what one needs there in Egypt. Midrash brings a pasuk in Iyov, chapter 12, verse 14. Hein yaharais v'lo yiboneh. Shall God destroy and shall he not build? At this point, so the pasuk is telling us that there's times where Hashem seems to destroy, there's times that Hashem builds. There's those things that are built, and there are those things that are destroyed. We'll see soon what that means. But there's a connection between that which seems to be destruction and that which seems to be building. there was an eitzah of the Shvatim. There was a plan of the tribes, Shimon and Levi and the other brothers, to destroy Yosef HaTzadik, to break his dream, that his dream shouldn't come true. But their plan didn't work. Yizgar al ish v'lo yipaseach. It will be closed in on a person and it will not become open. Very interesting. The pasuk refers to the fact that sometimes information is closed off from a person. He's not open. He's not aware of that which is going on. The Shvatim, the brothers, they came down to Egypt. They went back and forth to Egypt a few times, and they didn't have any awareness of the fact that Yosef was there in Egypt, right in front of their faces. Uli Yakov, and here's the chiddush that I never heard before. Listen to this, an amazing thing. We need to understand what it means, because it doesn't sound like this is what's going on in the Parsha Pshat of the Psukim. Uli Yakov nisgala Yosef kayom. Yakov already had a revelation at this point in time. When he sends the brothers down, he had a revelation that Yosef he's alive. Yaakov shever b'Mitzrayim. Yakov saw that there is shever in Mitzrayim. Shever has two meanings, as we're saying. Shever means that there's an aspect of destruction, and that there's an aspect of sever, which means hope. There's hope in Egypt. Ki yesh shever zeharav. The fact that there's a destruction, that's because there's a famine. Ki yesh sever, there's hope. Zehasoiva. That's the fact that there's food there in Egypt, that Yosef had collected 7 years worth of food. Ki yesh shever v'Yosef hurad Mitzrayim. There's an aspect of destruction, that Yosef, something bad happened, that Yosef was brought down to Egypt. Ki yesh sever v'Yosef hu ashalit. But there's hope, because Yosef is now the leader over Egypt. Ki yesh shever, there's another aspect of negativity, of destruction that's going on in Egypt, and that is Vavodom v'inu, that there's going to be the Jewish people. It was decreed on the Jewish people they're going to go down to Egypt. They're going to have to be slaves, and they're going to be tortured there. Ki yesh sever, but there's also hope. As the prophecy said, as Abraham was told by God, as Abraham was told, afterwards they're going to go out with great wealth, with great riches. Midrash brings another pasuk. There's an aspect, the word cheres, as the Meforshim explain, is a reference to the sun. Yaakov Avinu was like the sun. Would he not shine? It had been 22 years that he lost his Ruach HaKodesh as a result of his avelus, his mourning for the loss of Yosef. But at this moment in time, all of a sudden, something came up for him. There was an awareness. Yosef is alive. Yosef is alive. There's hope. Despite the destruction, there's hope. Or maybe because of the destruction, or side by side with the destruction, there's hope. The end of the pasuk says also in Eov, chapter 9, verse 7. There's a closure. There's a lack of awareness on the part of the stars. The sun sees. The sun is Yaakov Avinu. He was the sun in the dream of Yosef HaTzadik. But the stars, those are the Shvatim, they're not aware. They were going in and out of Egypt. They didn't know that Yosef was alive. To Yaakov it was revealed indeed. Yaakov had a revelation at that point that Yosef was around. So obviously the kasha is, l'chayra, it's not true. L'chayra, we see in the later parsha, in the next parsha, that Yaakov can't believe that he's alive. He didn't know about it before. But the Meforshim explain here an amazing thing. An amazing, deep thing. It's such an important thing, and it has to do with us. It's nogeh to each and every one of us. It touches each and every one of us. The Meforshim explain that Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, at that moment, he had an awareness. It wasn't fully cognizant. He didn't come completely to his conscious mind what the awareness was, but he knew that there's hope in Egypt. That hope meant there's food there. That hope meant that Yosef's there. That there's a leader. Klal Yisrael's leader. Yosef is there. He's there. He felt it. He He had a feeling. He couldn't put his finger on the feeling. It could be, if you would ask him, is Yosef alive? No, absolutely not. He's dead. But he had a feeling of positivity, a feeling of there's something good happening there. There's something good that's going to be there. Sivroi el Hashem Yakov. The word sivroi means a hope. I feel like something good is going to happen. Something good is going to be going on. The aspect of bitachon, of faith in God, of belief in God, knowing that something good is going to happen. We're going to come back to this midrash. We'll flesh out what it means to us and what's the idea here. So let's put it on pause for a moment. I wanted to tell you something that I was nisayr to as I was passing by the menorahs on the night of Chanukah 2 nights ago. I was nisayr to something inspired me. I was moved. Kodesh Baruch Hu, for the Jewish people 2,200 years ago approximately, over 2,000 years ago, Hashem did a nes for Klal Yisrael. The Jewish people, the Chashmonaim, Maccabim, Hashem, they faced off with an enemy that wanted to destroy us spiritually, to take away our soul, to take away our connection to God, to take away our connection to Yiddishkeit, to Judaism. Chashmonaim came and they lit a menorah. They found a pach Hashem and the small jug of oil. It lasted a miracle for 8 days. It was only enough for 1 day. It lasted for 8 days. Unbelievable. It was such a dark time. And the story, I believe I mentioned it last week, Chashmonaim afterwards, they weren't the best kings of Klal Yisrael. They weren't the best leaders of the Jewish people. There were challenges. There were troubles. And we never really had that glory of the first temple, the first Beis Hamikdash, and indeed the second temple ultimately was destroyed. What happens there? What's this miracle, this 8-day miracle? I'm not going to completely explain it. I'm not going to get into it completely. But what I do want to say is a beautiful thing that Klal Yisrael did. An amazing thing that the Jewish people did as a thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for doing this miracle. Hashem did a miracle. 8 days. Those candles lit. They stayed lit for 8 days. Awesome. What did Klal Yisrael do? What did the Jewish people do in return? Every single Jew, wherever he is in the world, how religious he is, no matter how religious they are, every single little Yid takes a menorah and lights it up for 8 days out of the year. For 2,000 years. Every year, 2,000 years, every Jew, everywhere, wherever they are in the world. What a response. What a response. The mashal that I thought of is like, imagine a person gets a kiss from their grandmother. They never want to forget that kiss. And they got that kiss on a certain day of the year. And every single year they never want to forget their grandmother passes away. And they have a picture of their grandmother every single year on the anniversary of the kiss from the grandmother. They pull out that picture and they kiss the picture of the grandmother. And they give it over to their kids and they say, I want you to, and they make copies of the pictures and they say, this is my grandmother who loved me. She gave me a kiss. I want you to kiss the picture too. And it goes on for generations, for 2,000 years. Everybody's, you get what I'm saying. It's such a beautiful response, such a beautiful appreciation. Such a beautiful expression of Akaras HaTov. We could say it's a small thing that Hashem did, that miracle, but it was a kiss, and we never forget the kiss. We never forget Hashem's kiss. But what is it? What's it about? Like, what's the idea? What does it come to teach me? What's the vort? What is the depth of it? What's the take home of it? And I was thinking, or we could ask it even like, why did Hashem need to do that? What was the idea behind this miracle? What is the idea behind our remembering the miracle? I was thinking about it in terms of Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef, when he's 17 years old, he has a dream. And this dream, it's revealed to him that he's going to be the leader. He's going to be a king. As I mentioned at the beginning. It's revealed to him that he's going to be a leader and a king. He doesn't forget the dream. It's like a kiss from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He doesn't want to ever forget that dream. As soon as the brothers walk in, he remembers the dream. He doesn't remember what they did wrong to him. He remembers the dream. And when the Sar Mashkim came in, when he was in the jail, and the wine cup, the wine bearer of Paro came in, he remembers the dream. This guy's my ticket to freedom. He's going to tell Paro. When he stands up in front of Paro and Paro asks him to interpret the dream, he knows this is his ticket to the dream being revealed, his own dream being revealed. And so that dream is a kiss. He doesn't forget the dream. And by he's not forgetting the dream is fulfilled. Before Hashem explain, why does he treat his brothers in such a tough way? Why does he go through this why does he put them into such a strange situation with bringing Binyamin, etc.? He wants the dream to be fulfilled. He doesn't forget the dream. It's important that the dream be fulfilled. And in a similar way, when Hashem did that little miracle for us in a dark time, in a Beis HaMikdash, in a temple, as the Gemara says in Yuma, I'm sure in other places, that there were miracles that occurred in the first temple. All those miracles, many, many miracles, they didn't occur in the second temple. The second temple wasn't as powerful, wasn't as spiritual, wasn't as open the revelation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But still, Hashem said to the Jewish people, he said, I want you to know that I'm here with you. Gave a little kiss. It was like that little dream. And as long as we hold on to that dream, as long as we hold on to that kiss, we never forget it, and we'll always kiss that picture. We always come and we give it back. For 2,000 years, we give back. We light wherever we are, millions of Jews throughout the world, lighting that menorah. We're saying, hey, we remember the kiss. We remember the dream. We want those miracles back. We want those miracles back. We're not giving up on that dream of having those miracles back. Because Hashem, this is how he does things. He takes a little, in a dark time, in time of darkness, he makes a promise. He makes a promise that this darkness is going to bring light. You're in a time where you don't see me. I'm going to show you that I'm here, so that you know that I'm always going to be here through the darkness, and you're going to get to the end of the tunnel, and you're going to find a light there, because I've been here throughout. That's what, to me, this idea of Chanukah, this idea of lighting the menorah means. And that to me is the dream of a Yosef. And that to me is what this midrash is saying. Vayar Yakov ki shever b'Mitzrayim. Yakov sees that there's destruction in Egypt, but the word shever is also sever. The word shever, destruction, also means hope. Side by side with the promise of a famine, there's hope. Because you're going to have 7 years of plenty that are going to provide for you in those 7 years of famine. Side by side with the promise that Yosef, or not with the promise, with the fact that Yosef goes down and becomes a slave in Egypt, side by side with that, he knows he has a promise. He's going to be a king. Side by side with the fact that the Jewish people go down into Egypt, go down into Guz, go down into exile, are dispersed throughout the world. Side by side with that is a promise that we never forget. Sever, there's a shever, a destruction, and a sever, there's a hope. I promise, there's a promise that we never forget. We're always kissing that promise. Yakov Avinu sees it. The 12 tribes don't see it. Asher shekel Yakov be'ezrei. We need to have the God of Jacob on our side. Sever el Hashem Yakov. That our hope is to God. That we see the shever, we see the things that are bad in our lives, we see the things that we don't like in our lives. We see the relationships that we wish could be so much better. We see what we're missing, the things that we don't have. Sever el Hashem Yakov. There's a promise. Hashem wants to take care of us. They're always side by side. There's a promise. Hashem will take care of us. All we need to do is trust in Him. He's taken care of us until now. He's going to continue to take care of us. Yaakov Avinu saw that. Yaakov Avinu could perceive that. He saw Yosef. He didn't know what he was seeing. He doesn't find out for real until next week's Parsha. But he had a feeling. There's hope here. There's hope here. There's no food, but there's hope in Egypt. There's no shever. There's no food for us. There's shever there. There's a breaking and there's a sever. There's a hope. That's the amazing message, I think, of Chanukah. There's a darkness and there's a light. within the darkness. And I will never forget that light. And I will pass that on to my kids. I'll pass that on to my generations. I'll pass that on to my students. I'll pass that on to whoever I meet. That hope, that belief. And that's why Klal Yisrael has returned to Eretz Yisrael. We are back in the land of Israel because of the fact that we always had that hope. We never forgot it. Inquisitions, crusades, holocausts, Ani Mamin. We said it over and over again. The place of shever, it's a place of sever. The place of destruction is a place of hope. And there's a feeling. There's a feeling. We start to get the feeling. Yaakov Avinu gets the feeling. This is where my hope is. This is where the hope is. So my kids down to Egypt, that's where the hope is. He doesn't yet consciously know it's Yosef's there. There's hope here. Klal Yisrael has hope. We have hope. Asher Shekal Yakov Ezra Yisrael Hashem Yakov. We have hope. We have this feeling. Something's coming. Mashiach is coming. The Goyel, the Redeemer, is on his way. Because Baruch Hu is going to reveal himself to the entire world. Everyone will know about Hashem. From the greatest of them to the least of them. Everyone's going to know. And they're going to grab us. The nations of the world are going to grab the four corners of the Jew and they're going to say, take me with you because God is with you. We have the feeling it's happening. We don't know how. We don't know when. It's soon though. It feels like it's soon. Yaakov, 22 years he waited. He didn't see his son. But there was a feeling something's about to change. We're on the edge. Where things are about to change. There was that feeling. There was that. It's so close. I don't know how and I don't know why, but it's so close. I want to bless you. I ask you to bless me. Hashem should help us to continue to hold on to that hope. To continue to hold on to the hope, to the promise. To continue to light those lights. To remember that kiss. Hashem should help us to be able to hold on to that until indeed we see the great redemption personally and for our entire nation. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful Shabbos. This podcast was made possible through the gracious donations of listeners like you. For more podcasts like this, please visit www.arigoldwag.com or search on iTunes Ari Goldwag.